Thanks for joining me. A third in the series of leadership styles, where we're looking at applying some ideas about emotional intelligence, and this one is about democratic leadership style. And I think I just need to re-emphasize that this isn't about picking one of these and saying, right, we're doing that today then. It's about having the options that each of the styles gives you. It's about having those at your disposal and maybe choosing which time is right to emphasize one style over another, or to maybe think, for this particular piece of work, this is what we're going to have to do to carry it through, or where we are in our stage in our development, in our growth, we need to maybe adopt a different way of looking at things. So that's how we would use the blend of styles. And it's fair to say that the author of this work, Daniel Goleman, suggested that the most effective leaders tend to use around about 4 of them and kind of move from one to the other almost seamlessly. And I guess it's one of these things, like a lot of things, it's done with practice and achieved with experience. Maybe we just need to know that it is there as an option for you, and if we think about the principles, then we can start to think about where we can use them. So where we're talking about democratic leadership, I'm seriously not saying that we're going to have a vote on absolutely everything, because what I can promise you is that absolutely nothing will be done if that is the way forward. What I feel it's about giving people an authentic voice within boundaries, boundaries that are quite robust and quite flexible, but also that is an authentic voice, but that voice is not a veto. So there's quite a sensitive management and leadership skill being used here. It's about achieving a balance that secures participation, that, if you like, increases buy-in, ownership of ways forward, of different ideas and strategies. At the same time, increases the power between individuals who are working in your teams. And again, looking at where we are in our current situation, that is something I feel is going to be of critical importance as we move forward. So, thank you. So I hope you're in a position to take my point when maybe you could be looking at the way progress is being made, or whether teams are forming up, whether we're actually sort of getting engagement at the level you want it. There might be a point at which you need to say, look, I need to just drop into a more democratic style now and make sure that everybody's voice is heard on this one, and that everybody can contribute to it, and we can move on from there. So when we're taking a look at skills and competencies, very often it's a good idea to ask, how do I? So at the moment, how do I achieve good teamwork? What is it I know that I do that works, and what do I need to do to up my game here? How do I know that I collaborate effectively, or I can be the catalyst for collaboration? And how do I know that my communications are okay? And let me be pretty clear about this. By my communication is okay, is that people are actually receiving the message I'm transmitting. So within those 3, I mean, they seem almost superficial, don't they? I mean, yeah, who wouldn't do it? But when we start to sort of unpick it a little bit, there's a lot of very important, quite refined and subtle stuff going on there, without which it's going to be hard to shape the context in which democratic leadership, as an addition, as a process, as a growth mechanism, it's going to be very hard to create the environment within which that can work and work well. So I'm going to go back to my old teacher days, and that question, what are we doing this for? Well, what we're doing this for is that we need to make an impact on the work climate, and that impact is going to be achieved by building consensus. So what's the purpose of it? What are the objectives? What's going to go on? It's about creating a context, creating an environment within which individual team members feel more confident about inputting to the conversation and being part of that conversation, understanding that their voice has been heard. I'm pretty sure that some of you may have experienced or will have heard of how damaging sham consultation can be. you say you're listening, but you're not hearing, and I might as well not say anything. So let's not waste each other's time, shall we? Completely toxic and massively destructive. So if we are planning to have the introduction of democratic leadership to any particular phase in our development or in our processes, then we need to ensure that it is authentic. We're trying to increase buy-in. We're trying to increase that idea of individual ownership, of collegiate ownership, and of something that is far more than the sum of its parts. It is that sense of affiliation, and that this matters to me. So we use it when we need to spread leadership, where we're asking people, come on, step up to the plate now, tell me something, show me something that you feel will make a positive difference, a point that that you can raise without fear, and that we can reach a point where those ideas have been heard. I talk here about collegiate ownership of ideas. I think it's also important for me to talk here about the notion of compromise. That's what we do, isn't it? We talk situations through, we talk scenarios through in an effort to reach a compromise where all of us can get something that we want out of this. I feel it's really important to mention now that as much as we're going to get something that we want, people have to accept that they're going to have to put up with something that they don't want as well on occasions, because democracy, if we wind it back a little bit, it's not about getting your own way. It's about having the opportunity to contribute your own ideas. So there are some real thorny issues for managers to grasp here. It is about establishing an environment within which we can be honest with each other. It is about establishing trust. And I think I would offer to you that if we can't establish trust and we can't establish honesty, we're on our way to achieving very little more than well-intentioned mediocrity.
Okay, well, thanks so much indeed, and I hope you found that helpful. It's probably created more questions than giving you answers. For me, the serious part about this is that it sounds fine, doesn't it? Oh yeah, we'll take a democratic approach to this. And very often that's exactly what we need to do. But I think we need to be very aware of the implications of using that approach, particularly some of the complexities in engaging people and allowing them to feel that their contribution has been recognised. And I often find it very useful in feedback sessions or when we're coming to a final decision. I often find it very useful to make sure there's a very clear footprint that reflects contributions made by individuals. Also, you've got a fantastic opportunity to use it in one-to-one feedback with them, and use it as part of a wider approach to how you're beginning to build the emotional capacity within your own teams. And again, I must stress, I think this is particularly important as we're navigating our way through the times in which we find we're living. Thanks so much indeed, everyone.